in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
But let me tell you, I got this ring.
Good evening, everybody. Thank y'all for joining the Marriage Project. My name is Bernard Henderson, and this is my wife, Vaughn. We are the Hendersons. So this concept that we came up with is we wanted to have an open dialogue with different couples, kind of like a group therapy session. So today we have Miss Michele, Steve Michele Holmes.
Hi.
And we have Tim and Brittany Anderson. And we have Reese and Tiff King. So just a little bit of backstory on everybody here. Steve and Michele have been together for 16 years. They've been married for 11. They have 2 beautiful daughters. Tim and Brittany have been together for 12 years. They've been married for 6, and they have 2 beautiful kids as well. Reese and Tiff are the newlyweds of the whole thing, and they have been together for 7 years, been married coming up to 1 year, and they have 1 beautiful daughter, which is my lovely, lovely goddaughter, Harper. Me and her, we've been together for 17 years. We've been married for 10, and we got 5 kids. So that's the story on us. So since we are normally the host of the show, today we decided that we wanted to be kind of like subjects.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. And to help us moderate everything, we got Miss Gwen Knight.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hi, Gwen.
I'm good.
Hi.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi. So first, we're going to go ahead and kick off with everyone sharing their initial story on how they met. 2 minutes, please. We want to make sure that we have enough time allotted so that everyone can get their story in. So we'll start with Tiffany and Maurice King. You guys can kick us off.
So we met in 2005 when I got to Bethune Cookman. I was a freshman. He was a sophomore. We were not dating in college. We just knew of each other. So he was Hollywood and I was Tiff, and it was high and by kind of thing. And after a homecoming in 2013, he glowed up a little bit. And, apparently I slid in his DMs, but we'll get to So we got back home and met up at the Waffle House and sat in a booth for about 6 hours and left, and he wasn't just my friend anymore. He was like my boo, and that was how we started.
That was sweet. Okay. Brittany and Hello?
Yeah, we here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we met on MySpace. I didn't know him or anything like that. Like, he saw me around campus before I saw him. But we met on MySpace, and that's where we started to talk to one another. And then, of course, seeing each other on campus and all of that. I don't even know, I think we established that, okay, let's make this official in 2008. And it's been you and I ever since.
MySpace. Interesting.
Okay, next couple.
Tell the story, your point of view.
Oh, all right. So we met in 2004. I eyed Michele a couple years prior, before she actually got to Cookman. I was a freshman, she was coming in, or I was a sophomore. And I didn't know if she was even going to be a student at that point. And I was in college, so I wasn't no big deal. But she ended up coming that following fall semester, and I saw her, and she was in band. I was like, oh snap, she here. And she ended up getting snatched up, but I was patient, and I just kind of laid low. And when the time was right, I struck. And sorry, I didn't strike. So we met. I was walking and I saw her going to the calf, and I stopped to talk with her, and I think to make a long story short, we ended up exchanging numbers, and that night we talked on the phone until like 6 or 7 in the morning. And that's kind of when we both knew it was something. So.
Aww.
That's sweet. The calf is actually where a lot of love connections are made.
Yeah.
Bethune Cookman University.
Shout out to the cat.
So Vondra and Bernard.
We're gonna let B tell the story because he's so much better at it than me. Okay, so
All right, so boom, right? So it's this literally my first day at Cookman, you know, and I didn't come here for no girlfriend. I'm being honest with y'all. You know what I'm saying? This is my first day at Cookman. I'm walking through the music building, and she's sitting in the chair with a little attitude and shit like this, you know, and a little attitude on her face and whatnot. So I swear, I tell everybody this, but I think it's the truth. When I first saw her, that song started playing like boom, 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 boom. I looked at her from the floor, you know what I'm saying, when it started going up like the movies do. And she had these big legs that I like. So literally, you know what I mean, I got to talk to her, whatever, you know, just chit chat with her. And we got a lot and we were just cool. She said she had a boyfriend, I had a girlfriend. So, you know, we just came to terms that we just wanted to, you know, chill, should I say. You know what I mean? And then that ended up being that. And what I is the first day that I met her, that same day at the music building, my stepdaddy told me, like, yo, watch, you gonna be bringing her home. And I was like, watch out, I don't even want to hear it. You know what I mean? But I took her home and I just never let her go. That's just what it was for me.
Sweet. Oh, sweet. Okay, well, thanks to everybody for sharing their story. Let me actually share my video. Thanks for everybody sharing their stories. So we're going to get down to the meat and potatoes. I have a whole lot of questions to ask. If it gets too invasive, just say pineapples. Okay, because we're going there tonight.
That's how we got our first child. We might not want to say pineapple.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so the first couple questions, of course, are just vague, but just to get the mojo working. So first and foremost, we're going to ask each couple, and, you know, of course, chime in as needed. What exactly was that moment that said, I'm in love?
Anybody just jump out there?
Yeah, anybody, just jump on in.
Okay, so back at school, I had got this quick weave, and the person who did it will remain nameless, but I got this quick weave, and I had to cut like a real big chunk of my hair out.
Oh,
and
no.
that was embarrassing. And Tim was so like thoughtful, like, oh my God, let me help you, you know, head over the sink, trying to wash it out for me, trying to get my hair untangled because I was panicking. That was the moment I knew, like, he the one. He really cares about me, because like that, for it to be, maybe it's a small thing for some people, but for me, like, that was traumatic. So
because men don't get involved with hair,
right. Right. So he looked out. He looked out, and he didn't even care that I was looking crazy after I had to cut a whole chunk of my hair out.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Okay, next couple.
What did you know?
Oh, yeah. I want to hear you.
Huh?
When did
I would say the time. The question was, when did you know?
Yes. Like, what was that aha moment when you knew she was the one?
So we all dated before. We all had like previous people that we've been with and everything. But the thing that made this one like special because of the holidays and stuff. My dad died during the holidays, so it's been like kind of like a sad moment all the time. But the way that she brings up everything to make it big, and the littlest thing could be the biggest thing for her. And that's what I like.
She's like the chocolate Cubana Martha Stewart. I know.
Very much. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Tiffany?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would say for us, that very first conversation that Steve mentioned, when we talked for 6 to 7 hours, we just clicked. We realized our families had a lot in common. It was very similar. We both are a product of divorce. So just being able to talk through all of that, and we had so much in common, it wasn't forced at all. So we knew, okay, this is the one. And Steve doesn't say he said it, but I remember him saying, "I love you" very early on. And he had
Oh, yes.
How early?
a little
How
tear
early?
coming. And we were in LLC parking lot. He said,
Yes, LLC.
but that's what I recall.
Like, that's debatable at best. So
Well, let me ask you guys this question, because both of you are from products of divorce situations. Tell me what it is about your marriage that keeps it going to make sure that you guys are not bringing up children that will be like, what do you do to remain divorce proof?
you know what, and we have this discussion quite a bit, but what I'll tell you is that this is going to sound messed up, but my parents and her parents being divorced ended up being the best thing to happen to us, because now, like, we became overly sensitive to those ebbs and flows in our marriage, where we felt like things weren't right, and we were like, whoa, like, because we are both products of that. So it's like we are actively and intentionally making sure that we don't end up like our parents, but again, in a very kind of messed up kind of way. Like, that kind of helps us knowing
So
that.
like, give me an example. Like, I'm gonna pry just a little bit, because just for the aspiring married couples, I just want to pry a little bit just to get like a specific example of things that you guys do to help your marriage keep ticking and keep the fire, and just making sure that you don't perpetuate what's happened to you guys as far as your parents' divorce.
Well,
we have so many examples. I would say one is communication being key, because both of our parents divorced for different reasons. So we have that information and knowledge, like firsthand. This is what didn't work with your people. This didn't work with mine. One example would be my mom would buy stuff, and I know we're going to talk about finances later, but she would buy things and hide it in the trunk of the car or hide it in the closet, because she knew that my stepdad, my mom divorced my father, but then remarried, and it was the same issue with my stepdad, because he was like, "No, you are impulse buyer. Don't just go out and buy stuff." She would buy it. She's like, "I got my money. I'm gonna buy it and hide it." And so I saw her hiding things and sneaking stuff in the house, or wrapping it as if it was from somebody else as a gift under the tree, just because she didn't want to have that conversation. So he knows I refuse to hide. I'll leave the bag right by the door. I'm gonna tell you, I bought it. We talk about big purchases, but the smaller things, like I don't want to start that. So I'm not hiding what I purchased. If I can't stand here flat foot and tell you I bought it and show you, then I obviously didn't need it. So it's not coming home with me. So it's communication. We don't go to bed mad. We try not to. We do have disagreements, but we made a commitment early on not to go to bed angry or upset. So even when my mouth can be a little much at times, so I will be quiet before I snap and cut you down the middle. So I just turn it off, and he doesn't like that. He's like, "You need to talk to me. You need to talk." And I'm like, "Let me talk when I'm ready, because if I say something now, I might say something that I can't pull back."
Right. Okay. Well, one thing I do want to congratulate you guys on is recognizing stuff like that, and then making a generous effort to make sure you don't revert back to that. So that's awesome. Okay. What about you guys, Brittany and Tim?
Please repeat the question.
Okay. Well, they did admit, I don't know if you guys are from divorce situations, but they said that they were from divorce situations. Like, what is it that keeps you guys from getting to that point? And not to say that it's ever come up, but you always have to divorce proof yourselves. What do you guys do to exercise that?
It's crazy that we're talking about that, because my parents actually just got divorced a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. So we're actually living in the process now. So the fact that she has such a great nucleus in her family, and just kind of being able to bounce off a lot of my frustrations and the things that I go through on a day-to-day basis dealing with that. I mean, she's been helpful. She's been really my rock on that part because you never, you think about it as you're older, you have your own family, this is not going to really affect you. You kind of have your stuff together, but it can affect you a lot, my whole mindset, and sometimes my daily routines kind of get out of whack, but she kind of brings it all together. And I think that's the biggest thing of the marriage is helping me now with dealing with that issue. And, I appreciate you guys for, expressing or talking about Michele and Steve, what you guys go through, but I'm living it right now. So it's a process, but she's been there for me, and she can kind of expound on it a little bit more better than I can. But there's days where I'm just like, I'm totally out of whack because, you just don't want to see your parents who've been married for, 30 years end up divorcing. So
that's going to be tough.
So
it's actually probably harder for you now because it happened to us when we were 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, me too. Right.
Yeah. But at this age, you know what the deal is, and you know something ain't right. You understand it. So
how does that, I'm sorry, let me ask you this. How does that affect the dynamics of like holidays and stuff? Like, how do you guys deal with that portion?
Wait, you asking us or the new? Because
I was going to say.
I mean, wow. Like, it's for your family, like they want to still put on, like, like the marriage is still ongoing, like, so the holidays, they still want it to be everybody. Wow. And for me, outside looking in, that's off to me. I'm not, coming from, my parents have been married 35 years, 36 years. And so I've never seen that. It's kind of, it's a culture shock, I should say, because for me, it's like, when people get divorced, you think that's it. And, he has siblings involved and younger siblings at that. And so I'm always thinking about everybody and how continuing on like nothing happened is not going to be good for, everybody in the long run. So that's always my worry with bringing, the family, together, because it's like, for me, it's like, is everything okay? Like, because I think that this is not real. Like, I know what's going on. So why are we all, pretending? So for us, I don't ever, want us to get to a place where we are like going with ebbs and flows and going with emotions, and we're married and this is a business, so that's how holidays are. Like we try to, like for instance, like this holiday season, we wanted to just be the four of us.
Okay.
Because of COVID, but we have family here, and I wouldn't mind having my parents over, having his mom over because she lives in Atlanta now. But I'm always thinking, okay, well, what about your dad? Is he gonna want to come? Is his side of the family gonna want to come? All of that. It's a lot.
That's a lot of pressure.
Tim, don't feel. My parents got divorced after their 25th year of marriage, which was about 5-6 years ago, maybe a little longer. For like pretty serious, nothing like infidelity, but something that kind of just they couldn't recover from. But I have a younger sister, us and my parents, and now Reese, we're all on a group chat. My parents know what they talk more than they talk to my sister and I. So I guess the dynamics, I don't know the circumstances of your parents, but I know it's still, like to Steve and Michelle's point, it's harder to cope with when you're older. Because now you're like 25 years. Like, what do you, like, fix it. And like, let's just, let's move on to the next thing. And even for like, friends who know my parents when Wendy and O were together, like as a unit, it's still very much, you can't say one name without the other. So, and weirdly enough, they still move like that. So, I would just encourage you to just kind of, the good news is you have your family and you have your nucleus. And my dad tells me more than anybody, he's like, right now, your family consists of you, Maurice, and Harper. Anybody else is, his word is ancillary. Like, this is vocabulary word of the month. Like everyone else is just ancillary. So, for me coming from, it was my floor and no more. It was me and my parents and my sister. to now realizing that they take a back seat kind of helps when you have to now worry about, well, I got mom calling and dad calling and this drama and this and that. Hey, y'all, we just need to meet. Harper needs that. I got to go. And, like, you can just kind of, you know, COVID's kind of helped us all realize that we self-contained and people in our house. And we function just fine with the people who get, like, my whole thing is, like, if you don't get mail here, you cannot affect what goes on here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like it sucks, you know, as you're older. So just, it'll get better.
I'm a product of divorce myself, but my parents divorced very, very young. I never really even knew, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I never knew my dad. I knew who he was, but he was in California my entire life. You know, so I grew up with my uncle, was 7 years older than me, really like the main person in my life as showing me how to be a male. So the thing is, with being from that product, I saw my mom, like, you know, hurt. You understand what I mean? I saw her hurt. So I think how it affected me as a man, it was just certain things I wasn't going to do to a woman. You know what I mean? It was just certain things that if I decided to actually be involved in a relationship with somebody, I was going to take it seriously. Or like even when we first got together, you know, even after we had a vibe and everything, but one of the things I did have to tell her at first was like, you know, I can't offer you no security right this second. You know what I mean?
He didn't stick to that.
I didn't stick to that. You know what I mean? But you know, it was really something. It was really something I felt like I had to say, which I never really said like that before, ever. You know, but it was just who she was. I certain things I couldn't do. You know what I mean? I couldn't kind of continue the pattern. I think that kind of played into how I dealt with her. I never, you know, call out her name or nothing like that. You know what I mean? I always come home. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you know, it's just, you know,
Okay.
I don't care to leave the house. If I'm mad, I don't just, you know, storm out. I just think it's, you know, just certain things I try to take into account because I know what it's like for my kid, you know, to grow up without a father at all. And I would never have that happen.
Right. Okay. Now, let's move on to another question. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Okay, you guys ready? And don't forget, if we get too deep, just the pineapples. Okay. Let's talk about something that is very vital to marriage, which is intimacy and sex. Now, here recently, there's been a huge sprawling all over the internet that talks about sex drive and how most men's sex drive are through the roof and most women, their sex drive decreases. And so the question has been, as far as a marriage goes, because it is monogamy, why not the individual with the higher sex drive can bring someone in? Now, I know nobody on here is doing that. But what are your thoughts on spicing up the bedroom? I do know that things like swinging is now a huge thing that is prevalent in Atlanta. So just what are your thoughts on that whole situation? I'm not sure if you guys saw that interview with DeVal and his wife, but just...
We were talking about it. We were just talking about that today.
One where he said, pretty much you demanded to me, but...
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
So, and I do realize with women, especially me...
What's the
question? What are your thoughts on bringing people into the bedroom, like keeping the sexual activity on a high? And what do you feel about it? Even if it's not necessarily something that you do in your marriage, what are your thoughts on it?
I have no thoughts.
It's a no for us, but the reason it's easy to say no because we believe that when you open that door, that's like opening Pandora's box. Right? You can't put that back in the box. So it might be good for a short time, and it might be interesting, and it might keep your attention for the now. But then what's next? So if you take a little, now it's always, or it's something that you allowed someone else to come in to such an intimate place. And I just don't believe in inviting problems. If you can cut problems off, you know, we have fun. We're very open. We actually just had this conversation, and I'm grateful that we can enjoy and have fun and experiment with us as much as you want.
And they
You are
experiment.
not stepping out.
You're not experimenting.
We have fun.
Okay.
Listen, when you married for as long as
We've been together.
you gotta keep it
Spice it up. Right.
Y'all,
Can you guys expound a smidgen?
Well, we don't have to go in the room yet.
No, Gwen.
The aspiring married want to know. Just the glaze the top, if you don't mind.
Well, okay. When we started out, you have to figure out your mate, right? You like, I don't know how much he's willing to, I don't want to come off as a hoe, but, you just don't know. And I was very cautious at Cookman, so I didn't have a bunch of partners and all that. So it's like, you got to be careful. You don't really know, but we debate because I think I was more freakier than he was early on, and whatever. But we experiment. So ecstasy was it? Is it ecstasy?
It was.
Yeah.
How about ecstasy?
All y'all done been in there. So we would go, like, say we went to the movies or whatever. Then it's like, all right, we'll just go by there, and we would just go in, but we didn't buy anything. That's how we started, just kind of looking and seeing, okay, what you think about this? And then once we got married, what was the other one in Orlando? Anyways, we would go and just get things, and then I would buy something, he might buy something, bring it, try it. What about this? We go on vacation. We've been in New Orleans. When we go to different places, Bourbon Street, whatever, we just might tiptoe in and see what they have. So it makes our vacation even more interesting. So I'm leaving with something I didn't come with, but hey, he would buy, go and buy me lingerie or whatever and have it for the trip. But just trying new things here, it's harder with COVID. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a whole lot harder because we used to do day dates. So when the girls are at school or they can stay after school, we could meet up during the day, lunch, whatever. Now we stuck together in this space. One of our children gets up at the crack of dawn and the other one don't go to sleep like she a vampire. So we are struggling to squeeze it in now, but
I understand. Anybody else? Sylvandra?
It was a pivot. It was Gwen asked another question after that. I was just going to say I wouldn't suggest that unless you are completely secure with every part of you ever. That's just not really something I would advise. It invites issues. If you don't want to invite stuff, just don't invite it. That I would stay away from it. But being the person that I am, I'm not gonna tell nobody don't do something. Like, I'm the person who heard you like, yeah, girl, you want to do it, you should go. But let me just tell you, this is what's gonna come with it. You got to take all that too. So I just wanted to interject that.
Anybody else?
I don't think it's something. Well, to Vaughn's point, one, I'm entirely too sensitive to do anything like I'm not even gonna bring that nonsense into my house because I just, we're trying to find our way now after our daughter's 3, but something happened, with a toddler, like, I don't know, and then the sex drive is lower, and I feel bad because I feel like it's mostly me that's like, I'm tired, and sorry, bro, like, tomorrow, like, so, but when we were dating, we didn't have that problem. Like, I feel like he kind of got gypped because when we were dating, like, what do you mean?
Not really. I mean, no. What you're saying is right.
Oh, no. Okay. No, like, we were just a little bit more open. We didn't live together while we were dating. So, like, backseat of cars, like, just more, fun up spaces.
Yeah.
Now, there's a car seat in the back. Like we're not doing anything in the car. Like,
I'm gonna put that car seat in the trunk.
There's just things that I feel like we're slowly becoming like an old married couple, and I don't like it because we've only been married 10 months. Like, especially considering before we had a pretty regular and exciting sex life. So I don't know. A lot of, like, I've asked my doctor, like, it's been a whole feeling the doctor kind of said he works overnight. I work abnormal hours. We're not on the same schedule. So a lot of times we're just passing in the night.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put the math together, there's literally 18 and 20 hours we don't see each other.
Right.
So it's a little hard to make that time when...
What are you trying to do about it? Like, what are you trying to, you know,
what's
what
the
are you,
next step?
You know what I mean?
It's lower, but it's not I wouldn't say less, if you understand what I'm saying. We did do it like on non-stop, but now when we do it, it's just like it's more intense. Yeah, so I feel like it balances out, but I know that she would want more and I would want more and all the time, but when we do, I feel like we make it count. Make it count.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But not saying that that's gonna be forever.
We got to get our kids down. We got to get our kids down. As long as I found out that if I can do anything to help her get the kids down,
I got you. But them kids got dead.
you know, they got to be gone. And, you know, we got 5 of them, so that shit ain't.
Yeah, y'all like the woman in the shoe, honey. It's so many children that I don't know what to do.
No, but I have learned that there's things throughout the day, like if he's home and I come home and the beds are made, the house is clean, that has now, okay, now I'm like pumped and primed and like we can get some stuff done. But when I come into the house and there's like, I'm just seeing tasks, the last thing I'm seeing is you. So that's what we try to.
That's what I try to help out with.
Yeah.
That's that love language. Yes. Okay. Seriously. Okay. Brittany and Tim, y'all are pretty quiet.
I'm with you. I think that those smaller children. Oh, you want Tim to talk?
Oh yeah, Steve. Yeah.
I'll interject with each other. You know what I mean?
We will.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tiff, I'm with you. I think that the smaller children, and I don't know, like, I thought I equated it to turning 30 and just having, you know, a low sex drive. Especially now with this quarantine. Like before, Tim works out of town. And so with the fact, you know, he's traveling and he's away all the time. So, you know, he comes back on Fridays. Of course, you know, it's going down because we've had time apart. And that's really always been our dynamic. Of course, he finished at Cookman before I did. And, you know, we would have to visit one another. I moved back to Atlanta and he was still in Florida and he ended up moving to Atlanta. And so we were always doing that travel thing. And that was fun, you know, and exciting and getting, you know, being able to go visit him wherever he is. We get married and he's still traveling, but this quarantine, you know, the togetherness all the time and always having to clean up after everybody and pick this up, clean this, cook that, you know, all of the household duties and tasks that you have because he still has to work from home. I don't want to, you know, by the end of the night.
And she's giving like the fairy tale side of it. A lot of the times when you're traveling, you know, I want to come back home and just lay down and watch sports, do nothing at times. And that's not what, you know, she wants, or we should always feel like that. But I would say like a Friday I get into town and you know, I'm ready to go. It's like Saturday, Sunday, I'm unwinding, already preparing for the next week. And there might be times where, you know, Brittany's like, you know, no, you've been gone for like 4 days. What's up? Let's,
right,
you know.
Friday, Saturday,
so, you know, it's just getting my mindset. You know, I'm not like, you know, the everyday person where we're seeing each other every day. So I got to always be on it. Not on it like in the sense of I'm, you know, jumping. As soon as I walk in the door, I'm jumping it down. I got to be creative in it, you know, and I figure out creative ways to, you know, because she says that, you know, it's just not boom, boom, let's go to the bed. It's, you know, figure out ways to.
It's a process.
It's a process. So that's the best part with me, because I'm just like, you know, let's execute this, let's go. But I've been finding creative ways when I'm away, because when I'm away, I'm sitting in my hotel room just doing work, and then I'm like, okay, what will make Brittany happy when I get home? that gives me time. I think that's the unique thing about me being on the road is I have time to sit down and think about just being a better husband outside of just being with the kids. Because I don't want to just be, I'm great to my kids, but my wife lacks, in the sex, like, everything that she wants. So, we're always experimenting. I'm happy about that, because, I find joy in making, not making myself happy, but really always making her happy. So that's one thing I will say that. But to get back to your other question about bringing others in the marriage, it's hard for me to match my socks. So me being able to bring other people in and dealing with all other emotions and all these other dynamics, I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't be able to handle that. Especially sometimes when I'm on one track mind, so I'd fall apart and it wouldn't work at all.
Okay.
So that wouldn't work with us.
So I would like a specific example of, and anyone can answer this, a specific example of, because you mentioned you want to do things that are going to spice it up or creative things. What's a good example of something that was creative that he did? And let me hear it from Brittany's perspective.
Well, I mean, he knows that I like to do these like little, either a staycation or, a little weekend thing. And so a lot of times, before COVID, we used to do that a lot. Okay, for the weekend, let's go and do this. Let's go to Key West or let's go to Destin or, something like that. Because for me, I've been, with the children all week. And so I can appreciate, time away or even taking the kids out of the house and doing something all day with them while I just chill here at home and don't have, anybody asking me what we gonna eat.
Where the cookies?
Snack. So all of that, those little small things, that's gonna get me going because it's one less thing that I needed to be worrying about for, even if it is for just a weekend or a day.
Okay. I think as a woman, I can say that a clean house kind of does it. Mm-hmm. It increases the libido. And you know what I'm saying? So it's everybody, make sure you fellas take your notes. Okay. So let's switch gears real quick. Let's talk about coinage. Of course, marriage. Most people, marry for love, which is great, but marriage also is an institution where generational wealth is built. So with that being said, what does that look like to you as far as generational wealth, and what advice would you give to other couples who are in the process or getting ready to get married to build that? Anybody can chime in.
Question was, what does generational wealth mean to you?
What does it look like to you and your family? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead, Tiff.
What does it look like? Okay.
So for me, my upbringing was a little different. I had a privileged upper middle class, upbringing. And in my mid-20s, it all just went away. So one thing I always said was, I don't need, and I've had the this and the that and the houses and the cars and the this as a child and adolescent. I don't need that now. I need to know that if the bottom falls out, we have a net underneath us. So whatever that net is, or what we've tried to now make it, is just some, in case of an emergency, that if, God forbid, he ever has to be, he can't work, that I have enough to sustain the house, or vice versa. Or we have enough outside of our normal day-to-day jobs to create streams of income into our home. Mainly because we both experienced being kind of asked out as kids because of choices or just life that our parents have had to go through. I know with him, after his dad passed away, there was no cushion. So there was a lot of things that him and his mom had to go through financially. When I met him, he was working 2-3 jobs. In college, he worked at Walmart, 7-Eleven, McDonald's. He was with no car, walking back and forth. And when we got together, fast forward, he's always been a worker. What I've now had to learn how to do is to bring the other half of the table to the table and not just pull up to his table. I know for us, we have things in motion right now that we wanted to get started that we can give to our children and say, hey, when you're 16, you don't get some fancy over the top party, you get a rental property and a duplex, those kind of things that we're starting to research and get ourselves involved in. Not only college funds, but just nest egg funds for Harper and for children we don't even have yet. Like one of my accounts is for a child that is not even in conception, like just for the next round of children to come through. Really just because we've seen the good and the bad of it. I know for him, like even when you were like the fast money, like you get it fast and then
There's nothing.
You lose
it's
it
gone.
fast.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna talk about his illicit college years, but it was fast money, and now you would feel like we would have nothing to show for that time in life. So, and also teaching our kids and ourselves the value of the dollar. For someone who came from the background I just explained, I really didn't have it. If there's money there, it needs to be spent, obviously. Like that was what I thought coming into even our relationship. I think in our marriage, I've gotten a little better.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. You have. It's just like if you see something that you've always watched happen, you want to break that curse. You don't want it to happen to the next. You want to, like generational curses, we try to break. Everybody has their own, but like financial happiness, like we have a saying that's called happy, healthy, safe, strong. Those 4 things we like to keep above everything. So if we, like she said, the bottom, I always told her that I just want to be the net to the whole family. Like that's not saying that you can't be.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
A cute picture.
That's not saying that you can't be the net also, but in this moment that's how I was brought up, that's what I saw. But I didn't see both people doing, not to say my mom wasn't doing it because she did her thing after he passed, but I don't want to have somebody have to pass for it to happen.
Right.
Started as we're together, as we're healthy, as we're safe, as we're strong, as we're happy.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing I tell her.
So let me just jump in and say something real quick. With COVID happening, just FYI, the housing market is getting ready to take a quick turn. I just bought some properties down in Augusta and about to get some properties in Gary. This is a good time, especially by you guys being couples. Y'all have the financial leverage to do that. So my suggestion is start looking in those areas. Buy some I got one of them for $500. So those are slow but surefire investments. Just
Land. We've been looking at land. We have friends who live in Gainesville.
Mm-hmm.
We have no tie to Gainesville other than my friend who lives there with her family. We were there for a weekend over the summer, and are we moving to Gainesville? Probably not. But to look at spaces outside of, we're still in South Florida, where the market is like for us to get a home of any level of where we would want would just
2.5.
For what
You said
like,
2.5 million.
That's it.
Well, no, not really. But he thinks that's at least a smooth $6,000-7,000.
It's not worth
$700,000 for a home that we would feel comfortable enough to be in. Where we come to Georgia with y'all, and what I'm saying, like be, or Texas or other states that would just appeal to us more financially. But those are land is something we're currently talking about. They're not making more land. So just I think it's kind of unlearning what we were taught. With credit cards, as soon as you turn 18, they come in the mail.
Yeah.
You got a credit card in every store in the mall, like that kind of stuff. Now you're like, for what? Like, what was it for?
Right.
Yeah.
So we had to learn the hard way, but now thankfully we're in a position that we can correct those mistakes and have our daughter and future kids to the point where it's ours, right? But you receive the perks of the nest egg and the safety net.
Okay. All right. Next couple.
I guess for me, I would say generational wealth at this point. I think if you asked me a few years ago, 10 years ago, it would be a different answer. But I think now we've been through so many things and come across so many people, the paths that we've crossed along our journey here, especially here in Georgia. It just shows you how the other side lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for instance, for us, I was a trust fund baby. So I had a trust fund, a nice trust fund, but without education, that means nothing. So, you know what I'm saying? So leaving a nest egg for my kids, I needed to be more than that now, because I had that and I screwed that over. You know what I'm saying? Screwed it over. Okay. So now generational wealth is more, is a mindset more than what the financial aspect of it, I guess, if that makes sense. Because the thing is, on our side of the tracks, when you look a certain way when you're wealthy.
Yeah.
For white people, they can screw up all day, but they have certain things that are just in place where their kids good. They did this for 40 years. They ain't never really got a real job, but they still live a certain way. So that's at this point what I'm trying to create. I got 5 kids. So at the end of the day, if something ever happens to us, they have to have so much money that somebody like leave 5 kids for somebody.
Right.
I don't know an insurance policy that's really going to take care of that at this point. Like, it needs to be more than that at this point for me. So I think now it's more about the education on how money even works, you know, for us, where it's a lot more passive in how we get it. So we're not always working to the bone. We're not always having to do this and money tied up over here and over here and over here just to make things shake. You know what I'm saying?
The type of dude, I'm a passion kind of guy. You know what I mean? And I really, really work off passion, but I can make that into any kind of formula. So, you know, my whole thing about wealth is I want them to learn how to get sustainable wealth. And I think that sustainable wealth happens when you have something that doesn't become work. And I think that, you know, I think that if you can continue to develop your skills and you continue to develop your children's skills, you know, you find out what they're good at early. You set them up with things like LLCs. If she likes to sew, she can start sewing her clothes right now, selling them to her, you know, selling them to her classmates. So at least early, she knows how to run a company. You know how to take your money, save some, invest it in different, you know, kind of things and stuff like that. Setting them up with life insurance policies and things like that, where they can actually be able to take out money after a few years, after it compounds interest and stuff like that. These are things that we weren't taught, and things that we're just now getting privy to, hanging with different people. So I think that wealth also comes with networking. And I don't think that we've taught our kids as a whole to really network outside of what we're comfortable with doing. So I think that wealth really looks like, to me, being uncomfortable. It really looks like pushing yourself to another limit, to, you know, being the quietest person in every room because you're always in a room that's bigger than you. Always thinking, you know, being a student in a room somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Okay. That makes sense. So your plan is financial literacy and multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Okay. Next couple. What is your plan? What does it look like to you and your family?
I'll start. For us, it's very similar, a combination of what both Tiffany and the Hendersons have said, and Reese. We believe in multiple streams of income. For those of you that know us, we both have businesses outside of what started with a side hustle have become actual LLCs and businesses. So we believe in that. Our children are witnessing us build this thing from the beginning. And now our oldest has started her own business. So it's interesting you said that, Bernard, because she likes to do bracelets and things. So we were like, okay, we'll get you the stuff, and got her a logo, got her set up, get an Instagram. Okay, cool. You want to sell it to your friends? This is how. She's like, well, how much? Okay, well, how much is it costing you? So it's about teaching her now that there is a cost to do business, but if you stick with it and you're willing to put in the time, the work, the investment, that there will be an outcome. It's modeling, not giving up something so quick as well, because I remember our parents, you're going to do something. My mom was like, the devil's workshop is when you're idle. So you're going to be busy. But there were a lot of busy moments of stuff that I really didn't want to do. I was just made to do it. So we're trying to switch it up. Okay, if you really enjoy this, let's stick with it. You can't just quit after, you know, this short amount of time and move on. We also have made some changes as far as like we moved from Florida to Atlanta. So they've witnessed us moving out of a house that we loved into a townhome. So the sacrificing that, you know, as we go through this process, wealth is not always steady. And, you know, you're going to have to watch us go into where we are actually saving, and this is our time where we're hunkering down, and this is what we're doing in this moment. This season will pass, but we're trying to demonstrate that and live it, walk it out for them, so that they don't grow up with a silver. There's nothing wrong with that if you can do that. They don't have a silver spoon, but they also know, okay, I have this talent and I'm going to work for what I want, and I can get out there, and I'm knowledgeable enough to be in the room and communicate and do what I need to do. Did you want to add to that?
Ditto.
Can I ask you a question on that? Just being somebody who got kids the same way, like how did you explain that to your kids? The reason why I'm asking that is because we've had times where, you know, our kids have had to see us move out of somewhere, downsize. You know, we done been through a lot of stuff. They done seen us move in with Gwen sometimes on honestly, you know what I mean? Just to be honest, just because we've had issues that much. How do you explain it to your kids to keep them seeing the big idea? The reason why I asked is because my daughter said something when she was in 3rd grade, when we were kind of on a kind of a downturn, and she was like, I guess it's not so good to get my hopes up high. And that killed me. Like ever since she said that, it was just like, I gotta do something to try to exceed your expectation. And how I explained it to her was, in business, like you said, in business, it's not always ups and downs. So I'm trying to teach her to expect the ups and downs in it. You dig what I'm saying? What do you guys do with your kids as far as explaining those down times and stuff like that? Anybody can answer. I just, you know, wanted to open up
when it comes to kids and their mindset, oftentimes as parents, like, we are way harder on ourselves on how we react to them than how they actually react and how they actually intake things. So believe it or not, if you put things in perspective, in very simple perspective with kids, not getting into all the minutia of what, you know, why this and why we moving here and why we going there and how come, you know, ain't no food in the fridge, like stuff like that. It's all perspective with them. And my youngest, she's just like, when are we going to move back into house again? Which that's always been our plan. When we move back to Atlanta, we need to get here, get settled, and then find out where we want to go and then move there. I tell her all the time, listen, we're taking our time. It's a process. You know, they don't know if anything good or bad happened, but they just know, okay, not yet, but me and mommy were looking. Me and mommy were looking at houses the other day, you know, and they don't know the details of all of that. So it's really just simplifying something that could be complicated to a way that they can ingest it and that they don't feel some kind of way, because they just don't think how we think. Right. They don't, you know, we think about, you know, about them, about work, about the bills, about the power bill, phone bill, light bill, car note, you know, neighborhood, the schools you're going to put your kid. They ain't thinking about none of that. They just want to have a nice little place to go play with their toys. Right? They want to live by a Chick-fil-A. They want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just stuff like that. So it's really like not overcomplicating adult problems.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm going to interject a little, because he said that, because I often question, am I doing a good job as a parent, and explaining more so to our oldest, because she's old enough to understand some things, and I was her age when I started to pay attention to things. So I always am cautious about what we do, how we share. And are we spending too much time on our business and not enough time with them? Like, I get it, Bernard, because we are very careful, and sometimes I feel like I'm failing. Like, I'm like, I don't even know. I couldn't do anything with them today. And then there are other days where I'm very intentional about how we share and what we tell and how we talk to her, just so she understands a little bit more than the little one, because the little ones, they don't know.
Yeah. I just have to keep telling her, you know, dreams take time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes work. Yep.
It's really, now that we are where we are, and having her see the whole process, you know, like she's seen ups and downs. She's seen me with big schemes that worked, and then she's seen me with schemes that didn't. Me literally try at my hand at every business that I possibly could. And then when it's, you know, she's starting to see the fruit of a lot of things. And I think that in those times where you down like that, if you can let them, this businesses take time. You know, this is a part of handling business. This is a part of having and owning your own business. If I wanted to go get a regular job and just be that way, then I would, you know what I mean? I would do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I want them to be independent. I really want them to be independent. I don't want them to be tied to anybody else's will.
And it's like planting seeds. So you tell them, it's like, I'm planting this. It doesn't harvest at the same time. Right. So it's just whatever you're investing in, it takes a different amount of time.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I'll add one more thing. We both have, you know, been corporate America. Well, I'm still corporate America, but when we moved to Atlanta, one of the hardest things was being in Orlando. When I tell you, we were comfortable. Like, life was just a machine. Everything was beautiful, and spiritually, we were led here, right? And the toughest thing was leaving that and coming here and having to deal with less, because when we came to Atlanta, my wife, she said, baby, and she was a teacher. She had been a teacher for 10 years. She said, I think I want to go and do my baking full time. And logical Steve was just like, I don't really know. But I understood spiritually where we were. And I said, okay, babe, if that's what you want to do, let's set a plan and let's do it. And that's how we gonna roll. So, and I say that because, like, we were both used to being in comfort and having it, and we were good. And we came up here, and when I tell you, we just took a sledgehammer to our life and our comfort and just wrecked it all. I ain't gonna say wreck it, but we just said, you know, we wanted to do something new. But when you do that, you have to be willing to accept what you ask for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We didn't consult with the kids. Y'all with us.
Yeah, they was with us, and they didn't get it. Like, that was something they didn't understand. They were just like, why do we move here? But now they saw us at the bottom, and now they're understanding. Mm-hmm. Now they're understanding, and they're seeing stuff start to fall into place. And that's the best teacher to me, is for them to actually see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? I'm sorry.
I can jump in, and I can talk a little bit about us on the financial tip. But I would say that, you know, I came from humble beginnings. My family, you know, I appreciate everybody talking about the businesses they've created. My dad, he has a barbershop. My uncle does real estate, blinds business. My grandfather actually started 7 churches around the world. But that's all I saw is, you know, ownership, basically, you know, working for yourself. But I chose this. I did dabbled a little bit in my own business. I started a cleaning business in Orlando. That was, you know, a little successful. Tried to bring the family in and create wealth for that on not my immediate family, but my parents and siblings and others. But you know, the hard part for me is I saw, as far as my immediate family goes, I needed to be on the road and, you know, work and roll my sleeves up so that my wife can stay home and be a stay-at-home mom, so she can, teach my children and make sure that, they didn't want the way I did. Not to say that, again, they're not going to have to go through hard times, because nothing's perfect over here. We struggle at times, and everybody, struggles. I'll admit it here on the Zoom with y'all. We struggle, but we do it because, again, I want her here to be able to teach my children, and they see that, hey, yeah, daddy's working, but she's staying home with you. She's educating you. She's training. And I'm a part of that process too. But her being in there in the thick of things and really, taking the time with our children, I think is instrumental in their growth too, as well, being a stay-at-home mom. And I do appreciate her for doing that. But I took that route because, again, I have, ambitions and goals and want to do my own thing. But at times, sometimes you have to sacrifice that. And that's part of the process. So in this process, eventually I will switch over to, creating my own business or sharpening, the tools that I have in whatever God leads me to. But at this point, I think is imperative for me as the man of the household. And again, we work together on this, but to, be able to, help my family and grow that way. I've seen both parents working in the household, and I see the neglect in that part, and I just chose to go this route. And I know I'm kind of maybe switching the conversation or moving this conversation.
It's fine.
But I just saw that, growing up and said, I'll be the one to sacrifice, but I'll let Brittany, do her thing with the children and stay at home. But she also is starting her own stuff too as well, financially. But that gives us my children a chance to see that, hey, nothing is going to be given to you. Everybody has to sacrifice at times. I tell that to TJ, my son, who is growing. He's 6 years old, so he's still in the process of growing. But even in his case, it's like, hey, daddy, I want this and this. No, we're going to set a process for you. Hey, you take out the trash, you do the stuff that you guys know. You take out the garbage, you do this and do that. We'll give you a weekly allowance and stuff like that. We'll give you a gold star for something that you do. You get 5 or 10 gold stars at the end of the week, and then we'll give you this. But it's just setting up them to make sure that, hey, daddy's not balling, or, mommy's not balling, and we're not just giving you money. Money just doesn't grow on trees, but we're, establishing you at a young age. So it's just, a matter of, literacy on that end of putting savings together, putting things in place that they know that, hey, you have hard work, gets to this. So it's not just giving them anything. And that's going to always be my mindset. And basically that's, where we are on this. Eventually I want to, sacrifice and take that chance and take that leap too as well, and not start a business, but continue that business that we had. But until then, this is the role that I've taken on for my family.
Okay. So we're going to switch gears one more time.
Hold on, pump the brakes. Got to save something for next week. Next time on the Marriage Project.
You have never been lost for work, and you seem
like I wouldn't be on here if I wasn't for you.
Couple that we've talked to is, I say, keep your family out of your business. Keep your friends out of your business.
Out.
My daddy did this. My daddy did that. My dad did it like this. My dad had a wife and 2 daughters and would open every door. While we were dating, he would be like, "I'm not your daddy." Like, he would say, which would make me angry because I'm like,
I still open the door.
No, I know. He'll open the door, right? How dare you disrespect? Like, like getting ready to. Now we have
the village.
The group chat and the dropping by unannounced, or pop up, or somebody needs somewhere to stay or something like that. Like, all of that I wasn't with. And that boundaries have to be made.
my husband will open his doors to anyone.
That's just in college. We had 2 separate apartments. People ain't know it because she was always at mine. To come to my apartment, I stayed in the harbor.
People just,
you know what I mean?
Random people from Cookman are just walking in the house. Like who are
crazy.
you? Like,
you
why
know what I mean? Like,
still like that.
She say live there. She keeps saying live there.
What else would she? Okay, so
she
what
keeps
else
saying live there.
Apartment on our property.
Listen, if the
no, but and that's what I'm saying. Like, we had moments where, like,
he was a mama boy.
Okay, so let me just say.
All right, that's enough. Y'all just come back and see us next time. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.